A woman wanting more emotional connection doesn't mean that she's clingy or needy. She is asking to be present, to feel more safe and more valued. Her natural desire for wanting emotional connection is part of her femininity. But that desire is not just physical, it's also biological. And the good thing is, a woman wanting emotional connection doesn't mean that she will be emotionally dependent on others so that she could feel okay. In this episode with Vibes and Wisdom, I will share with you why a woman have cravings for emotional connections, and when her emotional connection is not met, when it's missing, what happens? Sometimes we feel irritated, sad, frustrated, even lonely if we are in a relationship. Yes? So I will share with you how hormones, oxytocin and estrogen, play a very important role in how emotionally connected and safe we feel. I'll give you an example. A woman might be having an affectionate moment where she's being hugged or she's being cuddled, or maybe someone runs their fingers through her hair. Her oxytocin levels increase because that's the bonding hormone, right? It makes her feel so good in the moment. And passing the hand through the hair or giving her a kiss on her cheek, these are not just grand gestures. It's saying something to her. It's saying to her that she matters, that she feels loved, that she feels safe, that she's having an emotional connection. All right. And these are very, very important moments for a woman. And when that happens, what? The oxytocin levels stay increased in the body. And that's what we want, to have that nice emotional connection. But guess what? When that emotional connection is missing, it's not available, she's not getting that hug, she's not getting that attention, nor the stroke on the hair or the stroke on the shoulder, all right? The oxytocin level drops and it is replaced by another stress hormone called cortisol. And when your body is flooded with cortisol hormones, what happens? Remember, that's our stress hormones. We get very frustrated. We start making up stories in our mind. We get very emotional with our conversation and with our responses. And some of the stories that we make up in our mind goes like, you know what? I know he never cared about me. He is so selfish. He only pretends. And you start believing these emotional stories, and sometimes we go digging, looking to support, to get evidence, to support these stories that we made up in our minds because we are stressed, all right, because our cortisol levels has taken over, yeah? And sometimes so it's also difficult for our partners to understand that we are affected when we don't get that emotional connection, because they interpret emotions different to how we interpret emotions, or they sometimes experience emotions differently from us, and that misunderstanding sometimes leads to the woman unintentionally feeling dismissed. So when we have the stress levels are so high, what you find is that our responses are more emotional than logical. And that's why sometimes I've heard that women, their emotions supersede logic. Although sometimes they may want to think logically, but because the hormones are so out of whack, all right, they're just reacting emotionally. But it doesn't have to be that way. Those emotions can be regulated. The responses can be regulated by doing four things, all right, which I would share with you, and it's something that you could consider doing if you want. And the first one is using the 90-second hormone pause. So before you get entwined into a conversation with someone when you're emotional, pause, because you don't want to have a reactive conversation. All right. And have you ever had a situation where you said something in the heat of the moment and then later on you regretted that you said that? That's because you were emotionally hijacked. But if you use that 90-second hormonal pause, it should help you to be more responsible with what comes out of your mouth when you are emotional. You'll be more logical than emotional. The other thing you could do to calm down the nervous system so we'd be more relaxed is take a warm shower. Listen to some very soothing music. Take a walk, take a stroll. Nature sometimes, just being absorbed or being outside in that natural environment, looking at the birds, looking at the trees, it really again helps to calm you down. And that's what you want, so that when you go back into the home or you go back to work or where have you, you would be in a much better frame of mind. Yeah, playing with pets. There are studies that shows that when women play with pets, their dogs, all right, their oxytocin levels increases because she's having an affectionate moment with the dog, playing with the dog ears, the dog jumps up on her, and she's playing with the fur on top of the dog head and all of that. The brain is not able to differentiate whether it's a human or if it's a dog. It doesn't know the difference. But what the brain is understanding is that right now she's happy, she's affectionate, and guess what? The oxytocin levels increases once again. And that's exactly where you want to be, where your emotions are concerned. You want your oxytocin levels to be high. But mind you, it may not always be high because there are times when you may not have that emotional connection. And as I said, it will drop. And when it drops and the stress takes over, you want to be in a position where you would be able to reclaim your peace and protect your relationship, right? So let's recap some of the things that I spoke about in this episode. And the first one is knowing that it's okay to want more emotional connection. You're only human. It's not that you're weak. It's not that you're needy or clingy. And understand that hormones have a very, very important role to play in how emotionally connected and safe you feel. And then when your emotions are out of whack, chances are you would give emotional responses, but you want to be aware when this happens so that you would be very logical and reasonable in your conversations and your choice of words, especially if it gets heated. So if you know anyone who could benefit from this video, please go ahead and share it with them. And if you have other tips that we could use to improve our emotional connections, again, share it with me in the comment section in the video. Please go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, and share this video. With Vibes and Wisdom, until we meet again.